All right, this special bonus interview here on Soccer Matters brought to you by John Daspit and the Daspit Law Firm. Pleased to have Dynamo Defender Erik Sviatchenko. Erik, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you so much, Lim.
All right, so pivotal game here. It's finality. It's one game to advance. It's kind of what a soccer player lives for, isn't it?
It is, of course. I would say that it would be amazing to have had the job done previous game. But if you ask me previous when I signed, if we would be playing a third final game in the playoffs to advance into the conference semifinals, I think I would have bought it back then. So it's a big game, and of course something that we are all very excited for.
Dynamo defender Erik Sviatchenko. And listen, I look at this team and I see you guys go on the road with the experience you've had in cups and playing in Europe, and Hector Herrera in Europe, Artur's experience in Major League Soccer. This is a pretty experienced bunch. I don't get the sense that you're overawed by any of this.
No, I think we are at a good like position in general, both mentally but also physically. People are still fresh, and something that we just need to remember that all the good things that has brought us to this situation right now, we need to remember those things and don't get in sense of panic or anything like that. We know that we can do this, and we have the experience, we have the team, we have the top level to do this. So I'm really calm in that sense, and know that we can do it if we hit that kind of great level that we know we can do, because a long season and we have had some amazing games, and our away game last game was maybe not the best, but still we were in the game, and now we have all the chances to do it at home.
Erik, it's the sixth time you're playing Real Salt Lake. Has anything like this ever happened in your career before? And how do you deal with that familiarity? Because it's obvious these two teams know each other, pretty intensely.
Yeah, I think I tried it in Celtic. We played Rangers 5 times in the season because of the League Cup and the Scottish Cup, and then the league itself. But of course, these games is very up to the players, I think, because you can have tactics and you can have small tweaks in the sense of how do you go by the game, but in the end, it's who wants it more. Very, very simple. Who has the fire in their eyes, who wants to advance. And when I see our group, we have fought so much together in a very short period and have achieved so much without achieving anything yet in the league. So that's why I think that the hunger will show on Saturday, and it has to show, because these games are what we aim for. And if we go through, when we go through, there's 3 games and you will be in the final, which is amazing.
Yeah, 3 games away from the MLS Cup final. Erik, just a quick one back to the game in Salt Lake City. And by the way, it was a 1-1 draw. You technically really didn't lose the game. It was penalty kicks. So just when I looked at that game, at 1-0, at what point did you, if at all, decide to defend that and try and get out of there with a 1-0 lead? Or was this just the intense pressure that RSL was bringing? Maybe talk a little bit about that, because I didn't really hear anybody say anything about that after the game, if that was by design.
No, I don't know. I don't think it was by design. It was something kind of happening throughout the game, throughout the second half, that we lost a little bit of our control, momentum. They had the ball for longer spells, and we were a little bit on a back foot. And I think Arango's substitution also changed the game in their favor. He's a handful, even though that we did okay, but still that kind of changed their momentum. And football is basically many incidents of momentum shift. So sometimes we need to do something to get that momentum back. And I think we were very slow in acknowledging the fact that we maybe had that 1-0 lead, and maybe should accept that, okay, we are not having the best day on the ball. We're not having the best day in our press. So maybe we should just say, okay, how are you going to break down a 4-4-2 formation and have the 2 center backs try to create the game? Instead, we were trying in some way, in a good feeling and a good way of changing momentum by going high on them without really going anywhere. And that's a little bit annoying looking back at the game. But again, we were still close and we still had the game in our hands, and we could have won the game and they could have maybe won the game. But I hope we can have a little bit more control in the Saturday game.
Yeah. Does it come down to that? Does it come down to Dynamo's style, purpose of play, possession, passing and moving against a team that's going to try and make it ugly and foul you and try and break your rhythm? Is that too simplistic?
No, I think it's the right way that you're putting it up, but I think also we need to know that if they are coming with late tackles, if they are going 1, 2, 3 into us, then we need to put some of the same kind of characteristic towards them. They cannot just come and think that they can bully Dynamo in the sense of if our game is not on. And I know that we have characters in the team that can do that, and we have seen that throughout the season. Also, these kind of scrappy games where we need to fight it through. It's something that we need to put that cape on us too when we go into these games. Yes, we want to dominate with the ball, and yes, we can do that. But sometimes you need to do that for 10 minutes and be a little bit more reluctant and a bit more kind of defending it, and then you can get that joy back on the ball again, because a football game is very up and down in how it changes, as I was trying to explain.
He's Erik Sviatchenko. What a signing for the Houston Dynamo this year. Has been absolute joy to watch him play the center back position. Looking at this one on Saturday, very differing players, right? Arango obviously brings something different. Then you got kind of power and pace of Anderson Julio. You got this little guy, Diego Luna, who can buzz and potentially score in front of defenses, plus get behind people. They've got some pretty differing types of attacking talents.
No, I respect RSL and their players, but we also know that we have, as we talked about, played them a lot of times, and we have had in general a really good structure and control over these players. And I think it comes down to having that thought of a knife to your throat a little bit more than just relaxing in this sense. We know that we are good enough, but you also need to show it in some way. We cannot just talk about us has been really, really good and playing with the ball. We need to do the dirty work in some way. And that is something that I think is very important to emphasize going into this game, that it is like we were playing Inter Miami in the final. It is basically a final. Now it's done. It's best out of 3 is done. It's only that game, and we need to win that game. So we respect the players, but I know that we have so much quality in our team that we can hurt them equally.
Erik, did you get the sense once you got into the playoffs against RSL that there's just a bit of a different feel and it maybe a different healthy pressure? Because almost like a flip of the switch here, because there is finality now Saturday.
No, I feel that it's an interesting kind of format that we have this best out of 3. The first series, you see all the games that we have seen throughout the playoffs. That okay, you think it's signed and sealed, and then suddenly the other team comes back and it's open to the 3rd game. And even though as I said, I would have wished that we were long past that game Saturday. Now that's the reality, and we are just ready to play another game and do well. And again, as I have said a lot of times in both different places, but also on this show, we need the fans more than ever right now. This place has to be a kind of a Galatasaray place, if almost. We need shouts, we need everything right now, and I really hope, again, I'm urging that they will be there. We need 22,000. We need a sold-out stadium. If it's not now, it's never. So that would be my message to the lovely fans.
Perfect way to end it, Erik. Listen, best of luck. You've had an outstanding season. It's going to keep going because I got the feeling you're going to knock RSL out this weekend. So thank you very much for coming on, not only tonight or today ahead of this game on Saturday, but throughout the year. Your insight has been great for my listeners and myself. So thank you.
It's my pleasure, Glenn. Thank you so much.
All right. He's Erik Sviatchenko, former Celtic, Midtjylland, Houston Dynamo defender. He's been outstanding to watch this season. All brought to you by John Daspit and the Daspit Law Firm.